But never mind, moving on. So, movie of the week, we're going to talk about a hero that punches things to solve his problems. Literally, like, he's exactly what this guy was talking about.
As kind of ironic.
our third movie in our it's definition of irony. Yeah, our third movie in our superhero themed month. We're doing a movie called Planet Hulk, an adaptation of a comic series that came out a few years ago. So the plot of this movie is actually really interesting. So there's this group called the
Illuminati.
No affiliation to any current Illuminati that have done work on various dollar bills around the globe. So the Illuminati comprises of Iron Man, Professor X, Reed, and some other superheroes that secretly come together and agree the Hulk is too dangerous to keep on Earth. I think this decision was triggered by something else happened prior. It's not in the movie, so we're not going to worry about it. So the beginning of the movie, the Hulk wakes up and he finds himself on a spaceship, and a message is playing as Iron Man telling him that sorry it's come to this. They're gonna dump him on a planet which is completely empty of sentient life, but I think there's like deer and game and stuff for him. He gets angry, he smashes the spaceship around, and he crashes on the wrong planet. And on this world, he gets taken prisoner and forced to participate in basically Gladiator the movie. So he has to fight for his freedom. It does develop after that, and he meets some pretty cool characters.
The movie is basically John Carter meets Gladiator.
Yeah.
Just with the Hulk.
Yeah, that's great, actually.
And better. Much better.
To me, it's the best Hulk movie I've ever seen. 5 words or less, everybody.
Surprisingly epic.
Hulk, strongest movie there is!
Why this movie didn't get a sequel?
Don't get me angry.
Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
I know. I didn't know what else to say.
My one is, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
That was a good one.
Okay.
Oh, man.
So, get into the movie. So, did everybody like it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, hell yes.
So, who
surprisingly so.
Who hadn't seen it before and knew nothing about it?
I did.
All right. So, George, you going into it and you hadn't seen anything with any prior knowledge. What do you think of the movie? Just in general, at the moment, just briefly.
In general, it's like I said. Even though I haven't seen Gladiator, I know some of the plot of it. It is basically John Carter meets Gladiator. Yeah. The reason why I got out that vibe from it was initially 30 minutes. I believe 20 or 30 minutes into it, I was like, "This is kind of alright. I really kind of enjoying this. I really wish." It's not as good like Flashpoint or stuff like that. But then after, I believe, the first fight, and you go into a little bit more of the background history of some of the other characters there, that's where the movie really started to pick up for me, and where I felt like the fights had more weight to them, and it progressed a lot better than in the first half, which my only real big problem with this movie is the fact that I really think the pacing is really, really off. But even then, I think it makes up for it in a lot of the story aspects, especially in the mid to late second act of this film.
All right, so let's go into the plot. So I thought, even though about 2/3 of the movie is pretty much Gladiator, with a twist being that somebody else is playing the role of Maximus, like, the Hulk isn't calling for everyone to stay together, and he's not trying to coordinate them into a team attack. He's the complete opposite. There's another person doing that, and everyone else is telling them that Hulk has to play ball, or they're all going to get fucked. And the Hulk's not hearing any of it. So I liked that.
Yeah.
So even though it was pretty much Gladiator, the characters were all like quite likable. It was well voice acted, and there was some interesting side things. I mean, it's not like the most interesting plot in the world. It's just quite an enjoyable
Can I just ask? It's been a while since I've watched the movie. Where does the story end in the movie? Because I've read the comic and seen the movie, and I forget.
No.
So at the end,
let me help you with that, Carson, since I am familiar with both. Although I'm not that too familiar with the comics, I do manage to get some knowledge about it, and I've seen the movie. Is that it did not end the same way the comic ended. It actually ended. It actually ended with Hulk marrying Kaera.
Okay.
But it never verged the point that it led to the World War Hulk event. Which, let me just remind your viewers, at the very end of the series of the movie, the Hulk did marry Kaera, who is one of the few characters that can actually match the Hulk's abilities, and is female, and the one the Hulk actually fell in love with. In the comic book version, probably about a few days after the Hulk got married to Kaera, and the Hulk actually became the ruler of the planet, the ship that took him there actually created an explosion.
I think it would have to be more than a few days, because don't they have like a kid?
No, what happened was that I know from what I thought it was some time after that the explosion did happen, and Kaera was pregnant with 2 children.
Right.
And she used her powers, the one that protected her from being blasted to smithereens. Mm-hmm. She used all of that powers to save her 2 kids, while she herself got vaporized. Right. The Hulk at that time wasn't aware that she was pregnant. You're free to correct me on that. But regardless, he blames the Illuminati, which is Iron Man and the team, for being this way. And thus he decided to go back to Earth and on his path of vengeance, which is our Hulk story. And that's actually one of the point where Hulk just acts like a total badass.
Yeah.
He basically mops everybody. Whoever they throw at him, no matter how powerful they are, the Hulk is there, and he's that angry. He fights the Avengers. He fights the X-Men. He even took on Juggernaut. He even took on Doctor Strange. He
even took on Howard the Duck.
No. I just have this image of Howard the Duck going, "So, you're a big green fella, aren't you?" And then the Hulk just pounds him into the dirt with one punch. And just got his beak sticking out the ground.
Going back to that event was never established. So more like the Hulk did had a happy ending in that film. Larson?
Right.
I would just say actually, I don't want to get in too much, but I think a lot of the fans want World War Hulk as the final Avengers film.
Right.
Yeah. I honestly, I've just got it in my head at the moment. I see it really working, where the Hulk comes to Earth with his army, and like the Avengers kind of like go underground while the Hulk and his army are fucking things up, and they kind of have to work their way to the Hulk. Mm-hmm. And then there's some like emotional and physical confrontation. I really see that working. You can have all these superheroes in it.
I feel like if they ever want to restart the Marvel universe, that's how you end it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like maybe if they maybe they'll tie it. I don't know if they'll do this, but maybe if they possibly tie in, since we all know like Hulk Bruce Banner is going to be in most of the Avengers movies with Infinity War Part 1 and 2. Maybe there's a possibility that the Planet Hulk storyline will tie into Infinity War. I'm not sure. I agree with you that the idea of World War, what was it called?
World War Hulk.
World War Hulk. I think that could really work as a way to end the Marvel Cinematic Universe and possibly start anew with it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of a tangent, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I always compared Hulk to Godzilla in a sense that this is just one big guy who just want to wreck everything. If you ever screwed at him, you're pretty much screwed yourself. And World War Hulk is where the Hulk is pretty much here, where he's really at his, where he's really that pissed. Yeah. that piss, and that I don't
they
care
call
what
him the
he's done.
World
I'm gonna.
Breaker, don't they?
Yeah, that's why he's called the World Breaker. So
who was me after I watched The Room?
The one thing I don't know if I liked was, and this is both with the movie and the comic book, is that it's just the Hulk. Like, there's no Bruce Banner, and I don't know how I feel about that when they do that.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things that I was questioning a little bit with this movie. I don't know if this really counts as a plot hole, but I kind of think it does. There are points in the movie where Hulk is clearly unconscious. Isn't he in a calm state? And when he enters, like, when you go to sleep, you enter a calm state. Even if you go to sleep very angry, you wake up very peacefully and very calm. Wouldn't he transform back into Bruce Banner if that happened?
I think
Right.
maybe.
I think what happened is, like, before the stories, there was some plot device that, like, booted Bruce Banner out of, like, the Hulk's consciousness or something. Kind of made them two separate characters or something like that. It happens every now and then in the comics, but I don't know. I've always kind of felt weird when they do that.
yes, you're right. There were some story arcs prior to the Planet of the Hulk storyline wherein the Hulk and Bruce Banner do indeed switch personalities, in which this allows the Hulk to remain the Hulk even at a very calm state, while Bruce Banner acted as sort of a subconscious. So for that reason, when the movie version came out, the Hulk remained the Hulk throughout the entire film. I believe in the comics, it's only done briefly, where the Hulk did revert himself to Bruce Banner to show to Kyra his true form. And
I think that happens.
And since both the Hulk and Bruce, being two different personalities but share the same mind, they both are in love with Kyra. So they had to let them know that it's basically Hulk and Bruce Banner are the same person. But other than that, it's always the Hulk. Another thing that's also noteworthy with this movie is that the Hulk actually speaks with some form of intellect. Normally, if it's a Savage Hulk, which is his purest green form where he's actually mad, he just grunts like Hulk strongest there is. But here he can talk like a normal human would, but not on the same level as I don't want to talk nerdy about this, as the Grey Hulk, which is basically not his strongest form, but he's able to talk like any other human being.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
So at this point, Hulk is able to talk more humanly than any other character. Another noteworthy change is the inclusion of Beta Ray Bill as Hulk's opponent in the final Gladiator match, as opposed to the Silver Surfer in the original comics. I believe there was a licensing issue on having Silver Surfer, so they had to choose Beta Ray Bill instead. Nonetheless, it is one of the most brutal fights I've seen.
Oh yeah, same. The animation in that fight scene was intensely detailed, and like how graphic it was. It was awesome.
Like Beta Ray Bill's like a wicked character, so seeing him in it and seeing him get his ass handed to him was pretty cool.
Yeah, seriously.
So I don't know. I feel like we've gotten away from the main topic a little bit.
One last thing. It's not much about not much about the plot line, but also part of the animation, because I actually remember watching this with my niece and nephew. We were watching it on home video, and we were so amazed by it. And at the same time, we're also fans of the Avatar franchise on Nickelodeon. There was one flashback scene where it featured the Red King, the prime antagonist, as a young person. And I remember my niece asking me, "Why is Aang in this picture?" Because it looks exactly like a young Aang from Avatar, with this real mean look on his face. Laughing so hard.
That's pretty funny. So I guess as far as plot goes, they had the subplot with like the government kind of killing people, right?
Yes. The
Yeah.
Red
Right.
King.
Yep.
Right. So what did you guys think of that?
Fucked up. That's the only word I can think of. I mean,
Oh.
holy shit!
Of what?
Because yeah, go on, Frodo.
The subplot which the king sent some kind of whore, some kind
Oh
of
yeah, that was it. Oh yeah, that was fucked on so many levels. Seriously, holy shit.
Yeah, they send like spores, right?
Yeah.
Yes, infecting spores, which they turn into like these. Oh, they were called spikes, I believe. What are they called? Spikes? Yeah, that is really, really. Again, I don't say. I try to avoid like that kind of stuff is really, really dark when you really think about it, because this guy is basically genociding species. Species. What's the plural for species?
Species.
As a genociding species, and it's really grim the way they show it, especially in the flashback moment with what was her name?
Kiora.
Kiara with her and her family during the first attack.
Right.
Her holding. Oh, another good example of a very dark moment in this was the scene where I believe one of the bombs go off and she's walking along. It's kind of, oh my god, we spoil shit all the time on these fucking things. Where she's holding the kid and she's holding her back, and she has the ability to survive the atomic blast because of her, what the power was. Yeah, because of her powers, but as she's walking away with the remains of the kid, who's nothing but ash, she slowly drifts away in the wind, and she just stands there like in tears about this thing.
Yeah, I thought that was necessary. Again, like last week with the violence, it was a very powerful image, but like it didn't really suit the tone of the rest of the movie.
Right, and I think that's kind of one of the problems that I have with this movie is that it kind of just scratches the surface of what the comic book storyline is, because there's some really like fucked up shit going on in the Planet Hulk comic book that I watched the movie and I enjoyed it, which is good because that's what movies are for.
Precisely.
But then I went and read the comic book and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like the insect characters like have sex and shit and like yeah, like it's just the weirdest shit is going on, and yeah, I don't know, it's weird.
Can I give a name for this podcast? The podcast up for horrific imagery.
I don't think that's snappy enough, but
okay, still.
And they end up like plotting against the Hulk, and like they're the ones who basically end up killing the whole planet, and like I don't know, there's just some like real like intense stuff in the comic book that you don't get in the movie, which I understand, but it's also kind of like I wish there was a bit more.
Yeah. I mean, my main problem with the movie, we sort of touched on it a little bit, but it doesn't really fully go into bits of story. Like, as we talked about, it doesn't fully explain things. So we talked about with the Hulk, like why he's a bit smarter and why he stayed as a Hulk even when he was KO'd. And Ryoga explained that really well. But the movie doesn't take the time to explain that in a way. And also, with the business with the Red King, what's that grey woman called again? The strong one?
Kyra.
Kyra?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I felt like she didn't get enough story, even though, like, she had that flashback. But, I didn't get what made her, like they kind of mentioned she was, something or other.
I believe in the comic she possessed what's known as the Old Stone, which explains her invulnerability to these atomic blasts.
Yeah.
I believe there's another difference that the comics, she was enslaved to work for the Red King because of her power.
Yeah.
And here she just believes that the Red King, that she was chosen by the Red King and became a loyal subject. So that's just a minor change.
Yeah, so it's not like they give her some sort of title like the king is searching for the blah blah. That's why it uses the spores, but it's not really dealt with. It's not. It doesn't really dive into it. It just gives you a really like it's kind of glazed over, really.
Right.
So I was disappointed by that.
Is a little more like superficial, I would say.
Right.
It kind of just gives you like a summary of the comic book and adds in some like pretty great action.
The action is great.
I mean, it makes for a fun movie, but I don't know. I'm just kind of left wanting a little more, having seen what they did with the comic book. And I feel like that's kind of
a given.
Again, like it comes with the medium. You only have like an hour and a half, maybe, to tell your story. Whereas in the comic, you have so many issues with so many pages, and you can do all this, and and it takes more time to animate.
Yeah, I mean, if they did it in live action, which I doubt they'll do, I think they'll explore a lot more of the things that were dealt in the comic, like you said. But since this is animated, I think that kind of limits the amount of time they have. Like, I know there are a lot of very long animated films, some unnecessarily so.
Right.
But even then, I think this was a low budget, a basic budget direct to DVD.
You have to remember it's direct to DVD, direct to video. Kind of like a little project, and when you keep that in mind, it really is a pretty good. It's impressive.
I think it's a great film.
Same.
And I guess to compare it to the comic book is a little unfair, but it comes with the territory, right? When you're adapting something, you're obviously going to compare them.
Also, the fact that you have to keep in mind, that there are even though it's a direct DVD release, it's marketed towards those who have never read the comic book.
Right, and it's also marketed to a bit more of a younger age group than maybe what the comic book is going for.
Not exactly.
I'd say this is more like teenager kind of territory.
Yeah, because here's another interesting note. Disney did actually release Planet Hulk in their Disney Channel a few years back.
Really?
And when I watched it, I did notice several scenes have actually been cut on that one, understandably, because it is quite violent. It's not the same level of violence as Batman Assault on Arkham, but it is there, so it's not really for the younger kids, but probably in this it has a PG-13 because of violence.
Like, when did it come out? 2010, I think, right?
About that,
yeah, 2010. Yes.
So I would have been maybe 13, 14 when it came out, and I watched it then, and I thought it was pretty appropriate. But then I went and read the comic book, and I was like, probably shouldn't tell my mom I read this. You have that.
All right. So let's move on to. So just talking about some stuff in general about the movie. So animation. George really likes it. I really like it. What does everyone else think? Proto.
I liked it.
I would say it's probably one of the better Marvel animated properties. Yeah. Like, some of them look pretty cheap.
Yeah.
This one looks good.
I feel like, unlike something like Flashpoint Paradox that looks like it's very well handled in terms of animation, this, like something that you would see from like an actual theatrically released film, this, I did get the vibe that this was direct to DVD. It's hard to explain. I think it shows in terms of movements, if you know what I'm saying. like the movies are a lot more like in Earth's Mightiest Heroes and some of the texturing as well. But even then, like during some of the the battle scenes, it's really well detailed. I think that's what they spent most of their time animating, because it's like this very grand spectacle, and you need to put a lot. You got to make that really look impressive, and you put a lot of work into that. And I think that's partly why it looks like that, but that's not really a bad thing. It's just really, it does show that there, in terms of animation, it does. The spectacle pieces are a lot better than the movement kind of pieces. I know it's a weird thing to complain about, but when you're animation geeks like us, you tend to pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would say that it's better than the average TV show.
Yeah.
Not as good as a theatrical release, obviously.
Yeah.
In the movie, they had the flashback with the rock guy, right? Or no?
Oh, yeah. They had a flashback where he was telling the story of how, what was the other name of the other four characters?
Beta Ray.
Oh yeah, with him and how they found him on the planet, I believe. Was the planet Earth? I can't remember.
No, let's see. Korg, you're being the rock guy?
Yeah.
Korg?
Yeah.
I believe in his story arc, he was basically leading a group of other of his race, which we believe it was on Earth, because when they landed on Earth, they first battled Thor.
Yeah.
And then during that battle, to their surprise, they thought it was just him. Turns out Beta Ray Bill was with Thor as well, which is how Beta Ray Bill ended up being the Gladiator in the first place.
Yeah, I was kind of said earlier, but I think Beta Ray Bill is more appropriate to the film Silver Surfer. Like, he has more of a warrior attitude.
Yeah.
So like Silver Surfer's just like, oh, I'm sorry I got to fight, but like Beta Ray Bill's kind of got more the warrior instinct. Like,
yeah,
he's fighting's a lot of what he does. Like,
yeah, he literally like charged out of him and just like just smacked him around with the hammer, and after that he just Hulk just comes in and just pulverizes him and literally beating him into the ground, kind of like that scene in Sin City, the original, with Hardigan beating the shit out of the yellow bastard.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Beta Ray Bill was a better fit. When I read the comic, I don't know, Silver Surfer felt kind of out of place.
Yeah.
Mainly because
but yeah.
Because Silver Surfer is a cosmic character, considering he is Galactus' was Galactus' lackey. So in that he can travel across the universe. So he has that cosmic level of power. I would dare say almost in the same level as Superman, but able to travel through space. That's why he was fitted as the Hulk opponent. But instead they have Beta Ray Bill, which is probably which in a way, because he is Beta Ray Bill is somewhat of a god in some sort. That would actually he was fitted to take on the Silver Surfer as his replacement.
Right. I liked how they had Korg. That was his name, right?
Yes.
I liked how they had his backstory, because I think in the first Thor story, the Korg's race is actually the I think 3 of them are the main antagonists of the first issue of Thor, or the first issue that Thor appears. I think it's like Journey into Mystery or something.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was nice tied in.
Mm-hmm.
It did make me think though that the that rock guy was a bit of a prick.
Yeah,
like he just like we were supposed to root for him. Then he tells his story about how he and his buddies tried to kidnap someone from Earth, and then they got their asses handed, and was like, well, you deserve that, and you didn't really have any remorse about it.
Right.
I think he's more sorry for himself that he bruised his rock bottom behind. I guess with the side characters, I don't think they got so much attention. Like, I mean, they were fine. Like, they were good alongside the Hulk and helped the plot along. I didn't dislike them. I just thought they were a bit forgettable, really. The only ones I really remember is Hulk, of course. Iron Man, because I know Iron Man, and he's at the start of the film quite a pivotal way. That grey woman, I can never remember her name. Kaira. Yeah. I didn't really. It wasn't explained like how she could take the Hulk's punches and stuff. Like it goes back to what I said earlier. There's obviously like a good reason for it, but it just kind of seemed weird that like all these other characters get the shit beaten out of them, yet she can take all these punches and kicks without like that much of a problem. And the Red King, who again, like I thought was a bit boring. Like he served the plot of the film, being an obstacle to the Hulk and the other characters, but he's not really that interesting. And like his suit, like he had this massive robotic suit, and the Hulk just like destroyed it. It's like, okay. What does everyone else think?
Okay, go ahead, Proto.
I have nothing. And
okay,
I have nothing.
I was about to say, I actually like Kyra. I think this is one of the best portrayals of her in the movie. However, briefly, since she only appeared in the Planet Hulk storyline and never appeared since she was indeed killed in the comics. So I personally believe that Lionsgate, the producer and the distributor behind the film, did try their best to portray her not just to eventually ending up as the Hulk's wife, but also as the Hulk's equal in terms of power and strength. Now, I don't want, in a way, on a feminist's point of view, this is basically, Kyra is the embodiment of a very strong female character, which she is. She can take the Hulk's punches, and she can fight the Hulk toe to toe. I believe in the comics, this is also the way these two actually flirt with one another. They were actually flirting while they're fighting. And the animated series doesn't portray that. The animated movie doesn't portray that as much, but you can tell that these two do have some sort of chemistry to each other. So I do like her subplot there. That had she remained loyal to the Red King, she would become one of the Hulk's biggest obstacles until her turn to side with the Hulk.
Yeah.
After she learned the truth about the King. So that's one of the things I like about another character I do like is Meek, the insect guy, where I believe in the comics he is for the most part just a side character.
Yeah. In the comics he's a little bitch. Fuck
he's a complete little bastard. And then the big reveal in World War Hulk, in that he was the one. Who set the Hulk's ship to explode and killing everyone, just so the Hulk could continue being the world breaker rather than being this peaceful guy. So that was a big revelation. But here he's just he plays a sidekick and a comedic one at that. And it's only until around the very end where he started acting like a badass, despite the fact one of his arms was cut off. So he was likable at that point.
Honestly, I liked him a lot better in the movie, because in the comic book he's just like, he's just a little bitch the whole time, and I fucking hate him. And then in the movie they made him like a very likable, and a very likable character.
I did find it funny when the bit where it might be like the fight. I think it was a fight with Beta Ray Bill, where like he kind of goes in. And the crowd are going, was it Meek? And then one was like, shake your thorax, Meek. It's like, what? Why would you say that? Like, if it was like a guy, like Maximus walked in, one guy going, yeah, shake your ass, Maximus. It's like, why would you say that? He was useless though. Why would he get the crowd to chant? Like, you watch like his friends. Like they tried to. I like that bit. They tried to like, let's get the one that's already down. They start attacking him with their swords, and he just gets squished. That made me laugh really hard. I don't think we have too much left to talk about with this flick.
Soundtrack, I guess, maybe.
Not really. Like, again, it was kind of stock sort of thing. unless you noticed something, maybe.
I thought there were a lot more. I felt like there were a lot more pieces in this that actually fit the scene and didn't feel like boned in at all. Like, I'm trying to figure out a good example like that. I think most of the ending had some decent pieces as well, but overall, I think it was much better than Flashpoint in that regard, but it's still not as good as like Mask of the Phantasm was.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen any of the other Hulk animated movies?
Nope.
The only let's see, the Hulk. This is basically the one of the two animated movies that starred where the Hulk is the main character. The other one was Hulk versus that came before it.
Well,
that movie was terrible.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, I didn't like it that much. I mean, I liked the first one mainly because Deadpool was there. I didn't like the one where he fought Thor.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, I liked it. I liked both of them, but I hear very, very mixed things about it. Some people like the Wolverine one more. Some people like the Thor one more. Some people don't like either of them at all. Some people love both of them. It's very, very interesting, I find. So, I was gonna ask which you would prefer, Planet Hulk or Hulk versus, but I guess we have our answer.
I have a different answer, but for me, it's just the same. I don't think neither of the three movies can.
I think we lost Proto.
Down the back of the sofa. All right.
But yeah, I mean, of the two movies, I mean, on a personal level, Planet Hulk was definitely the better of the two. I did enjoy Planet Hulk. The only other Hulk movie aside from that I did enjoy, which Hulk was in it, was perhaps the next Avengers movie.
Okay.
Which was Hulk making a small appearance there, but he did
the old Hulk with the long ass hair and shit.
Yes, Heroes of Tomorrow. So that's the only other thing I liked about it. But yeah, of all the movies the animated movies that Hulk was in, personally, it is also my closing argument about it. Planet Hulk is definitely the best of the bunch. Guys,
I think we should start to wrap things up now. So if we just go around, final thoughts.
It's a good time, you know. If you're stuck inside on a rainy day, it's a good thing to throw on the TV. I would recommend reading the comic book if you like the movie. Yeah, it's a good time.
A very, very entertaining film. Yeah, definitely try to check it out if you're a fan of the Hulk. And I'll try to check out the comics and see how the contrast in terms of from the comics to the film. I'm not sure, but overall, I'd say it's a surprisingly very, very good film to watch. Not as good as Flashpoint or Phantasm, but still very, very entertaining and very well made.
All right. So my final thoughts. I completely agree with you guys. I think it's a very enjoyable film. If you want to see the Hulk punch things really cool, and
literally watch any Hulk movie.
Well, no, and you want a decent story as well.
Yeah.
World War Hulk is definitely the one for you.
Planet Hulk.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Planet Hulk. Definitely the one for you.
Yeah.
It's a very good time. I recommend it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's basically one of the best Hulk movies ever, alongside the Edward Norton Hulk movie. So I recommend.
Out of all of the Marvel animated movies, I'd say it's one of the best.
If not
top
the only good one.
Top 3, definitely.
So next week will be our final movie in our superhero themed week. We could call it, if we made a playlist, we could call it Marvel versus DC. I think it'd be quite cool.
Yeah, sure. Maybe.
I mean, even if we did mostly.
I'm a Marvel and I'm a DC.
Even if you mean it was just mostly DC, really. So
yeah.
Next
week, I think that's basically because DC has been putting out more direct-to-DVD comic adaptations than Marvel has, since they've been more focused on the cinematic universe.
And they're better quality.
Better, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So next week, I think it's the perfect film to finish off our month. All-Star Superman. So make sure you tune in for that one. I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't seen that movie in a while. I can't wait.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I saw it when it first came out, and I don't remember too much about it, but I remember liking it.
Well. Let's just say despite what everybody raves about it, I actually have some negative thoughts about it. I'll explain more on the next podcast.
To be
Dun dun dun.